I think when we were younger, we kind of laughed at the fact that there was the commercial, I've fallen and I can't get up. It was funny. We all laughed. But as we get older and see our parents get older, now it's almost like a nightmare situation. Like, I don't want that to happen to mom or dad.
Because it feels a little bit more like it's a reality that could happen. And we don't want anything to happen to our parents. Yeah. Today, we're bringing in Richard Hirsch from Unaliwear to talk about fall detection devices and help cut through some of the confusion, because there is a lot of confusion. Richard, when we know that we want our parents to hopefully stay more independent, we want, of course, to know if they fall, but it can be pretty complicated. We get a lot of questions about people seeing ads and not really knowing what the differences are or what to choose.
Yeah, well, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. And hopefully we can provide some clarity and some simplicity around this process for people that be able to watch this video. So my company is Unaliwear. We make what's called the Kanega Watch. It's a medical alert watch with fall detection. It's the only watch on the market that connects to a response center that has fall detection. There is a lot of confusion in this space. People start, going online, or they start calling companies. There's a lot of different companies out there. Many of them offer the same thing. When you think about fall detection, the vast majority of options that are out there require you to wear a pendant, a neck pendant around your neck. For a lot of people, that's a deal breaker. The iPhone I can't get up commercials that Mike referenced, they're funny to young people or younger people, and they're really embarrassing and stigmatizing to older people. And so, even though these devices, and I mean the entire industry, does a great job of protecting people, keeping them safe, keeping them independent, helping them in an emergency in ways that nothing else can really do. Really, only about 7% of the people 65 and older, and even maybe 10% of 75 and older, have one of these devices. They're voting with their, with their perspective about how they're not going to want to wear a pendant, and so they choose to wear nothing, which is really challenging and kind of scary for both themselves as well as for their loved ones.
Because we know that if somebody wears a fall detection device or some sort of medical alert device, it can really be life-saving.
Yeah, I mean, Forbes just did a research study. They interviewed 2,000 people that have medical alert devices, not just ours. I mean, the entire industry, pendants, and our product as well, our watch product. And 86% of them said that the device or the system had saved them in an emergency, or had prevented an event from escalating to an emergency where they would need help. And so you're talking about something that really costs a couple of dollars a day at times, sometimes less, sometimes a little more. And yet that system or that device can keep you in your home, living longer, living independently longer, out of the hospital, out of nursing homes, living the life you want to live for an extended period. And yet people choose to not get it because of the shame factor, the stigmatization that's associated with wearing pendants. And the data even shows that even when someone gets one of these medical alert pendants, they're only wearing it about 30% of the time. And you could imagine all the reasons why someone wouldn't wear it, right? They're embarrassed by it. Some aren't waterproof, so you can't wear them in the shower. You have to take them off to charge sometimes. And then, of course, at night, it can cause a potential choking issue with the length of the pendant. As you turn over in bed, it could twist. In addition, you could just press against your chest and wake you up at night, or the alert could go off by mistake. I mean, how many times does something like that have to happen before someone says, I'm done with this? Right. And the same thing with a loved one. So we feel like our company has built a much, much better mousetrap, and it's basically identified all the reasons why someone wouldn't wear a device like this, and design a device that basically answers all of those questions.
Because the pendant is only as good as, or any alert device is only as good as if you're wearing it and have it accessible to be able to detect when you fall or call for help. Right.
And it's so important, I think, because every time I go to the doctor's checkup with my dad, that's one of the questions that's asked. Well, John, have you fallen? And about a year ago, the answer was yes. I didn't realize it. And he said, yeah, I fell a couple of months ago. I'm like, Dad, are you okay? Yeah, I just fell into the wall and I got up and I was a little sore for a couple of days. And you hear that and like, oh my gosh, maybe all of them, every old person, aging person needs to wear something like this and figure out what's best for them, because we need to convince them that
it's another layer of protection.
Yeah, that safety measure is good for them.
Yeah, it's hard because going back to what you said before, originally, Mike, this stigmatization of the industry, it should be a device that makes you feel freer and makes you feel protected, like a home security system. But in the end, it's been perceived with such embarrassment and such stigmatization that people push it off until an event takes place. And that's when they or their loved ones start to get serious. And the challenge is that, just like what happened with your dad, the definition of what an event is for the wearer or for the senior is different maybe than what the loved ones feel. And there's this back and forth about, okay, when do we need to start thinking about getting something like this? And then, like I said, they get into the process, and it can be confusing. It can be complicated. A lot of these companies are very aggressive with, making sure that if you call on the phone, they want you to buy right then and there. It's a little bit of a boiler room mentality. And so people just try to put it off for as long as possible because the whole experience can be stressful in getting it and researching it and getting someone to wear it, And so, like, if you have other fights that you're having with your loved one, other challenges, other discussions, where does this fit in the priority list always becomes challenging.
Yeah.
So you really tried to, with the Kanega Watch, make something that people would want to wear.
Correct. I mean, again, a watch is great, right? Because a watch is something that gives you benefits and builds a habit every day. You get the time, the date. The Kanega Watch also has medication reminders. It's voice activated as well. You can talk to it. So it's a little bit of a fun, personal device that isn't just a hunk of plastic sitting around your neck in case something happens. You get benefits every day. And for people that like wearing watches, you're not actually asking them to do anything different, just to change the device they have on their wrist.
And it looks like a watch. It doesn't look like a big, right?
Yeah. Right. It's a watch. And you compared it earlier kind of to an alarm system at home, where just like an alarm system, you buy the alarm system and then, you have to pay a monthly fee. And it's the same type of thing no matter what you're wearing. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, correct. I mean, the thing that matters is you're getting two benefits for them. Well, you get a number of benefits for the monthly subscription because you actually don't buy the watch. And in many of these devices, you actually don't buy the device because the device has no value if you turn off the monitoring feature.
Right.
So so this goes to an alert goes to a monitoring center. Whether that's pushing the crown button of the watch or using your voice to ask for help, which I'll do in a second, or the fall detection kicks in, it goes to a monitoring center that has all the wearer's information and will try to communicate with the wearer directly. So through the watch, for us, they'll say, Unaliwear emergency response, how can we help you? If that person is conscious, they direct whatever care they need. It isn't only just an ambulance. So that's another misnomer about this. And that's true, quite frankly, for the companies that make pendants as well as us. Once they're talking to you, if you're the wearer and you're conscious, you get to decide what happens next. You're still empowered. And it could be like, we've had situations we hear people say, hey, just call my daughter and have her come over to my house to get the blankets in the top of the closet because I'm cold. So that's a perfect valid reason to use this, right? Because the monitoring center has all your emergency contacts and they can call on your behalf, or, they can also call for police or fire. So it's seen as this the industry is called kind of the medical alert device industry, but actually it's much, much broader than that in terms of the benefits and features that are available. And so what's critical is that you have both the monitoring center that's available to you 24/7, 365. For us, we're a US-based monitoring center. And then you also, when you leave your house, our watch connects exclusively through Verizon Cellular, which is many people think is the best cellular provider, or the most reliable, the most consistent coverage and diverse coverage all across the country. This works Alaska, Hawaii, Puerto Rico, wherever you are. It's not just, in your home. But the other thing that's really critical is that every other medical alert device out there that we know of, they only connect through cellular. When they're these sort of mobile devices. There are home devices that just connect through your landline, which are different, but most people are choosing a mobile device which works in your home and works when you leave your home. But those are only connected to cellular. And I think everyone is listening to this interview or watching this interview can think of examples when they've been in their home and their homes, their friends, or inside buildings where the call drops when they're on their cell phone, or where it's a weak signal, or where you can't even get a signal. So we don't understand as a company, as Unaliwear, how companies can only offer cellular only based devices for a device that has to work 24/7, 365 in homes where there are load-bearing walls, there are internal bathrooms, there are so many challenges to consistent cellular service. And so one of the really unique benefits of the Kanega Watch over other products, aside from being fall detection on the wrist and being is voice activated as well, and being a watch, is that when you're home, it automatically connects through your home Wi-Fi, which is much more reliable for communication mechanisms than cellular. Right. And then when you leave your house, it automatically switches over to the Verizon cellular service. So the monthly monitoring is giving you a lot, the monthly subscription is giving you a lot of benefits that won't happen when you don't have those services and you're basically having devices that may be somewhat less expensive that connect only to 911. You can imagine the challenges with having that be the initial kind of line of attack.
Yeah. And thinking about just the usability or the wearability of the Kanega Watch, it is, you can just leave it on all the time, even when you shower.
Yeah. And because of our patented battery system, you never have to remove it to charge. It's also, you can wear it in the shower. It's a battery system, a rechargeable battery system that is on the watch. So you change the batteries while it stays on your wrist. Again, another reason you never have to take it off.
Yeah.
So, and let me just demonstrate quickly.
Sure.
So our wake word, it's not Alexa, it's not Siri, but it had to be something that would ensure that if someone used the voice activation, it wouldn't go off all the time. So we chose something that was well understood by our population. So with that being said, I will present an example of how the Kanega Watch works.
Okay.
Fred Astaire, get help.
I think I heard you ask for help. I am contacting the operator. Press the crown button once if you do not need help, and I will cancel the call.
Oh, wow.
Wow. So it's Fred Astaire is the magic word?
Yep. And so I'll say FA because I don't want to wake it up again.
Oh, gotcha. Okay,
you
right.
could say FA, get help. FA, what time is it? FA, what day is it? Also, if the watch, we maintain the battery power because having the batteries on the watch means you got to be very careful about the battery power, how you use it. So the watch lights up and shows you the time in very, very clear black on white lettering, large black and white lettering, not a big color screen that's complicated to see and complicated to use, so that you can see it very clearly, even with people that have somewhat, macular degeneration. Very easy to read, and it lights up as you turn it to your face. The act of actually turning it to your face lights it up. And so it's you can use the voice activation with that way to get the time, date, as well as getting help.
And it could be a good conversation starter because our aging parents know who Fred Astaire is. I think our kids or grandkids wouldn't.
Right,
So
right.
Yeah, great something to talk
Also,
about.
our oldest wearer is 103.
Yeah.
And she has no problem changing the batteries. It's always a question about, well, if you got to change the batteries, is that challenging? Because people think about the batteries for like a hearing aid, but these are actually very, the batteries are actually quite.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
They're not insubstantial.
Yeah.
And these prongs lock in the actual battery to the face of the watch, to the band. That's in. And so what happens is it takes about 5 seconds to take them out, or less than 5 seconds. And you're also provided a charger and 2 additional rechargeable batteries.
Okay.
And so really it's a matter of just, you take it out, You put it in the charger, you take the battery to the charger, you put it in the watch, and there's one that flanks each side of the watch. So it's
Can you hold it up a little bit higher? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
There you
So
go.
Got
there's one here,
Uh-huh.
and there's one here,
Okay.
and then so there's two batteries. They flank the watch. Like I said, it takes 5 seconds to do the switch, and then you're done for the day. We tell people to do when they brush their teeth at night. It's super simple.
Yeah.
And then, you know, what's great is that you are choosing to. We chose to design it this way. Obviously, you know, if you take it off and put it on the bedside table and a charging mechanism, it's a little bit easier. But for the extra effort you are asked to do to change the batteries every day to day and a half, getting the benefit of never having to take it off to charge, never leaving on the bedside table, you know, never having a reason to remove it. And again, the challenge is once you give people a reason to remove even a device that gives them benefits every day, the chance of them putting it back on becomes less and less. So we just try to design it in a way that would ensure that they have every reason to keep wearing it. And that's really what's happening. I mean, as not to get into a lot of additional data, but almost 90% of our wearers never take their watch off. The pendants are worn about 30% of the day. So it's like 3 times the protection and again, one of the ways that we do that is making sure that there's no need to remove it to charge.
Sure. And it is waterproof. Now, I know that there will be questions about how it compares to, say, like the Apple Watch, which does have fall detection as well, but obviously is more complicated. Yeah,
I mean, the Apple Watch is a great product, but it's not designed for seniors. And I don't mean to insult anybody with that. It just isn't. It's a fairly complicated device to set up. It's a it can be a complicated device to use. The touch screen makes it very challenging for many seniors to use, only from the standpoint that as you get older, you actually get increasingly naturally dehydrated, and the actual moisture in your fingertips dries up. And that's why if you have any parents who are trying to use a traditional smartphone and they're pushing on that icon on the phone and saying nothing's working, it's because their fingers are dry.
That's interesting.
So,
it's called
swipe. Yeah, I've heard myself saying that. No, just swipe it. Just swipe it. Yeah.
And it's not that they're not capable. Their body actually doesn't provide the moisture in their fingertips necessary for the screen. Now, imagine that being a challenge on a normal size smartphone. How does that translate to a screen of a watch size?
Sure.
And then, of course, it's color. That is, you know, that's challenging for people with macular degeneration, and the images are relatively small. So I would never say anything negative about Apple as a company, but I don't think they sat in a room and their engineers and decided, how do we make this, you know, this best watch for seniors?
Right. That probably wasn't the target market when they were designing it.
Exactly.
In addition, the other two things is you have to remove the Apple Watch to charge, and and some people get, you know, they don't even get a full day of charge out of it.
Sure.
And then the other thing is it only goes to 911.
Okay.
Right. And
the Samsung watch is the same. There isn't.
Samsung watch is the same.
Okay.
Yeah. So you get a lot of other features and benefits from the Apple Watch. A lot of, you know, biometric readings and stuff like that. And for some people, that could be the difference maker.
Oh, sure.
But if you're really concerned about having a device that's going to be there for you 24/7 in case you fall and in case you need help, and you want to make sure that that person you speak to, or the person that the alert goes to, whether you're able to speak to them or not, has all your information and can you know, go in motion, everything that has to happen to get you help. I mean, a simple example, right? If you can't respond and that agent can't reach your emergency contacts, they can dispatch emergency services as a fail-safe directly to your GPS location. And if that GPS location is your home and you provided them with a lockbox code, you provided that through to us, to the monitoring center, they can pass that off to EMS. So suddenly they're not breaking down your door.
Oh, gotcha.
Right? And what happens if you are allergic to certain medicines, or you only get blood pressure in your right arm? Like all that information, which 911 wouldn't have, we would have, because you or your loved ones would share it with us.
Gotcha.
And we can pass that along to the monitoring center, who can then put that information in the hands of EMS so that when they actually get to you in an emergency,
Mm-hmm.
that triaging process is a lot faster and a lot more efficient.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
A lot to, we thought we're just, it's like you think, oh, it's just a little alert, but
there's
there's so
out
much
there.
to it. Yeah.
So many options. And Richard, thanks so much. So much tips, so many tips, so much advice. We really appreciate this. I think it's going to be very helpful to a lot of people.
Well, thank you. And thank you for having me. And I wish you all the best and stay well and safe.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I think it's just very interesting, I think, for all of us to hear that, because again, you go back to I've fallen, I can't get up, but there's so much more involved. And as we worry about our parents, hearing about the stuff about other things that can be done, whether it's a pendant or a watch, but especially the watch, it's just amazing how helpful it can be.
And the fact that it can really be a life-saving device,
Yes.
but you have to wear it. So finding one that they will wear is going to be really important.
Yeah. Remember, if you have any other subjects you'd like us to talk about, let us know. Parenting aging parents.